Hi everyone, I'm Mary Jane Munoz Ferrer from the Group 8 and we'll be discussing the five driving forces and also five restraining forces of K to 12 programs. In K to 12 education, various forces can be either drive or to restrain the effectiveness of programs. So when we say driving forces, we considered it as a positive factors that can produce or promote growth and improvement. While while on the other hand, when we say restraining forces naman is that we called it as a negative obstacles that can hinder progress. So I'm gonna present to you first the five driving forces. So the first one in our driving forces is that we have government funding. So what will happen if there is enough funds, enough finances, or let's say increased investment from the government? So of course, you can be able to um, expand resources, improve facilities, and also hire qualified staff. Like for example, sa PSU San Carlos campus is that maipatatayo ba yung new building kung walang sapat na pondo coming from the government? So ayun, of course not. So the second one is that we have teacher professional development. So, halimbawa kapag teacher ka na, hindi po pwedeng tumitigil sa turo ka lang ng turo. Kinakailangan mo ring mag-undergo in trainings, seminar, and webinar. For what? For you to be able to learn and at the same time is to teach the quality education that was needed by the students. So the third one is what we have technological advancement. So there is integration of technology in classrooms. Like for example, yung mga smart TV in every classrooms. The online platform that you are using such as Google, Facebook, Instagrams, and also um, sa presentation, yung video and PowerPoint presentation. So ano yung mga nagagawa ng mga yon? It helps and also supports you to learn effectively and efficiently. The fourth one is we have positive school culture. So dito naman is there is a focus on inclusivity and respect. So kapag sinabi natin inclusivity is that of course for sure panigurado na um, hindi pare-parehas yung mga students in every classrooms. Ika nga diverse learners. So magkakaiba sila according to their races, religion, culture, and etc. So kinakailangan as a teacher, ang kailangan mong gawin is that you must treat them fairly and also equally. Um, i-make sure mo na no one is left behind. Okay? As for respect naman is that halimbawa kapag um, Roman Catholic yung religion mo, hindi ka dapat nag-iisip ng pagka-superior mo sa ibang religion. Okay, and then the fifth one is we have focus on social emotional learning. Dito naman is kailangan may mga kinakandak na activities, programs for emotional intelligence of every students para naman para ma-contribute yun sa kanilang holistic developments. So, we are done in our five driving forces. So now let's go to five restraining forces naman. So the first one is we have underfunding. So kung kanina sa government funding under driving forces is that meron siyang enough funds, enough finances, or increased investment coming from the government, dito naman sa underfunding is limited siya. So, ano yung mga nangyayari kapag limited yung nanggagaling from the government? So, it can lead to overcrowded classrooms, lack of materials, and also inadequate facilities, impeding educational quality. Like for example is that sa RT, sa rooftop ng PSU, di ba? There is only one area which is the rooftop but was divided into four classrooms. So that was already an example of overcrowded classrooms. And another example is that halimbawa sa RT1, yung instructor is that gumagamit ng lapel. Sa RT2 naman is wala siyang anything na ginagamit to maximize his or her voice. Sa RT3 naman is, ayun, maingay rin yung mga students. Sa RT4 is same, maingay rin. So, instead na makapag-focus yung nasa RT2 is that madidistract sila. Because of what? Because of the noise, the disturbances, because of their environment that can lead to impede their quality education. Right? And then the second one is we have teacher shortages. Ayun nga, kapag limited nga yung pondo na nanggagaling from the government, ito yung pwedeng mag-cause teacher shortages, insufficient number of qualified teachers. So ayun nga, kapag kulang yung nanggagaling na pondo from the government, mababawasan ngayon yung mga teacher kasi nga hindi na nila kayang punan yung punan or mabigay yung income ng bawat teachers. So after that naman is we have standardized testing pressure. Dito naman kasi kapag once na na-pressure yung mga students because of their because of aiming to get high scores, it can lead to anxiety. And after that is overcrowded classrooms. So just like what I've said earlier, my examples underfunding, overcrowded classrooms. Ayun nga, yung there was only one area but was already divided into four classrooms. And that is for overcrowded classrooms. And then the fifth one is we have mental health issues. So connected siya sa number three sa standardized testing pressure because once na na-pressure yung students to once na na-pressure yung students in aiming to get high scores, it can lead to anxiety, and if that anxiety goes on or continues, it will affect your mental health issues. That's all. May I call the next reporter? Thank you.
Ayan. Good evening, everyone. I am Rosan A. Palaganas, and tonight we will present, or first, I will present the three parts of the DLT first. Ayan, okay na. So, first, we will talk about the objectives or our layunin. The objectives or layunin clearly articulate what students are expected to learn by the end of our lesson. Kasi usually, di ba, ito yung nakikita natin na the students are expected to, ganun. Or sometimes, ang very specific example dito is yung by the end of the lesson, students are expected to. So, I think it is clearly aligned in the DI statement of learning objectives or outcomes because it serves as the foundation for planning and delivering instruction. Clear objectives guide the lesson structure, assessment, and activities. So this alignment ensures that the lesson goal is measurable and observable, linking directly to the student outcomes. So next is the balik-aral. Balik-aral, it this stage aligns with this by reinforcing and building on foundational knowledge, ensuring students are prepared to progress. In the I review, I think this align with this because it serves as a quick recap of prior knowledge or previously taught skills that are prerequisites for the new lesson. So by this, we can know if the students are ready to learn the next topic. The example of this is before introducing new content or topic, the teacher asks the students about the three parts of the essay, which is the last topic before going on to the next topic. The next is the pagganyak. So the pagganyak or the motivation in English aligns with the DI practice because DI practice is a active pace, encourages active engagement through practical exercises or activities. So we all know na pagganyak aligns with this by sparking students' interest or encouraging participation through relatable or hands-on activities that connect to the lesson topic. So usually ito yung ginagawa natin para mapukaw yung atensyon ng mga students. Para sa ganun ay makinig sila sa umpisa pa lamang ng ating pagtatalakay. Next is, next. No. The example of this is yung to motivate students for the next lesson, yun nga sabi ko, teachers will present activities connected to the topic. And the next part of the lesson will be tackled by the next presenter. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Laika P. De Vera, and du- dumako naman tayo sa paglalahad or presentation. The presentation page serve as introduction of the new lesson to the student. It is the essential that teacher provides clear and structured guidance to ensure that the student grasps the objectives and importance of the topic. This space is where the foundation of the lesson is established by introducing key concept and ideas. A a well delivered presentation not only engage students but also prepares them to connect with the succeeding parts of the lesson, fostering curiosity and interest learning. And the next one is the discussion or pagtatalakay. Guided instruction, in, input, identify needed knowledge and skill for learning new lesson. The discussion phase focuses on providing students with the necessary information, knowledge, and foundational skill foundational skills required to understand the new lesson. In this stage, the teacher takes on the role of facilitator, guiding students through the essential elements of the topic. By breaking down the complex concept into the manageable pieces, the teacher ensures that the student can build a solid understanding. This phase often involves interactive activities such as guided questioning, collaborative learning, and scaffold exercises to help the student internalize and process the new information effectively. And the next one is the application or paglalapat. Ang nilagay namin dito is direct instruction and assess the performance 80% or more. The application stage allow the student to put into the practice the knowledge and skill they have learned. This is where the students are given the opportunity to demonstrate their understanding and mastery of the lesson. Activities such as problem solving, hands-on tasks, or Real-world applications are introduced to ensure that students can translate theory into practice. A standard of achieving at least 80% success is set to measure their competency and readiness. This space also provides valuable, valuable feedback to both the teacher and the student, identifying areas for improving while celebrating progress. A well executed application phase not only reinforces learning but also boosts student confidence and motivation. And tinatawagan ko yung next reporter.
Good evening. I'm Prishadine S. Maikas, and now we'll move on to the last three parts of the lesson plan. So first, we have paglalahat or generalization. In the generalization, it is in the process of students drawing broader conclusions from the lesson's content. It's about helping them see how the concept and skills learned apply to other areas of their lives or to different situations, thinking of it as making connections and seeing the big picture. Sa bahagi ng paglalahat or generalization, dapat gabayan ng guro ang mga mag-aaral sa paggawa ng paglalahat. Maaring magtanong ang guro ng mga gabay na tanong upang matulungan ang mga mag-aaral na makagawa ng sariling paglalahat. Mahalaga rin na tiyakin ang mga paglalahat ay tumpak at kompleto. Next is pagtataya or assessment. This refers to how you measure student learning. It's about determining if students have achieved the lesson objectives. Meron tayong iba't ibang uri ng pagtataya or assessment, tulad ng pagsusulit, proyekto, presentasyon o obserbasyon. Ang layunin ay matukoy kung gaano kahusay ang natutunan ng mga mag-aaral at kung saan pa sila dapat mag-improve. Dapat pumili ang guro ng angkop na uri ng pagtataya na makapagbibigay ng tumpak na pagsukat sa pag-unawa ng mga mag-aaral. Dapat ding tiyakin na ang pagtataya ay patas at makatarungan. Pagkatapos ng pagtataya, dapat bigyan ng guro ang mga mag-aaral ng feedback upang matulungan silang matuto at umunlad. And for the last part, we have taktang aralin or assignment. This is a task or activity given to students to complete. It can be a homework, assignment, a project, or a group activity. Assignments are designed to reinforce the lesson's concepts, provide practice, and allow students to apply their knowledge. Dapat pumili ang guro na angkop na taktang aralin na makatutulong sa mga mag-aaral na palalimin ang kanilang pag-unawa sa aralin. Dapat ding tiyakin na ang taktang aralin ay makatwiran at hindi masyadong mabigat para sa mga mag-aaral. Mahalaga rin na bigyan ng guro ang mga mag-aaral na sapat na oras upang makamtan nila ang kanilang mga taktang aralin. And that's it for our presentation. We are the Group 8 from BSC Filipino TV. Thank you for listening.